Alright everybody, welcome. You may notice that there's a big change in the video, and that's because I'm filming on a laptop today. The full story goes something like this. 2 days ago, my kitten, Eliza, apparently got into my old computer, into the tower. She chewed around, nibbled, quibbled, bibbled, maybe even diddled. And after I taught at the library on Monday, so I guess it was yesterday, actually. Today is Tuesday. I guess it's Wednesday. I don't know. Whatever. Dates. And I came home, and I'm supposed to run a game, a Dungeons & Dragons game, and my computer wouldn't turn on. It was dead. And I was like, oh my god. I let them all know. I said, computer's not working. And last night, I built my new computer. I finally did it. However, building computers are hard, especially when you're out of practice, and I made a power supply mistake, and I didn't get it to work. So, which was a bummer, you know, whatever. I had things to do. Today I ran a game. I ran it on this laptop. A good thing I have a laptop and my phone. And then, of course, I went off to play chess. And rather than me ply away and try to get the power supply working tonight, I figured I would film on the laptop. You get the special laptop video. Hopefully it's a good one. And I will finish building my new computer, basically repair the power supply issue. And I'll have the brand spanking new, really turbocharged power computer for next week and beyond, which is awesome. It's only taken me about 4 months to do that. However, for the interim, we have the laptop. I have no idea how powerful it'll be compared to my other one. So when I run the analysis, God forbid it crashes or so. We'll see. I toyed around with OBS a little bit to try to get the window like decent, but I think it's important that I just consistently bang these out. And maybe this video quality will suffer. Apologies to longtime viewers, but I wanted to give everyone the preamble of sort of what's what. Other than that, was feeling a little tired today. I did some grocery shopping, and I showed up U1900 after playing in the Open, and honestly, playing pretty well in the Open. I didn't win enough sufficient points to warrant staying in the Open, so I am playing in the U1900s. And by the way, the U1900s this month has like almost 20 entries. It's actually crazy. The old-time favorites are there, some new-time favorites. Maybe they're not favorites, who knows? Got to sneeze as well. Damn. Terrible feeling when you know you have to sneeze, but it just, your body just doesn't want you to. All right. I really think sneezing is important. Nonetheless, I drew Andrew Barber in round 1. And Andrew Barber is played at the club a lot, but he's a guy I've never played before. And I think the reason why Andrew Barber is like a couple hundred points lower than me is I think he's maybe sometimes played in the lowest section. And the few times he's played the middle section, the pairings have worked out where I just haven't played him. So it was nice. It was like, I get to play somebody. He is almost 200 points lower, and I drew the white pieces. So obviously my challenge was to win. Did I accomplish that? Well, you're all about to find out. The other nice thing is Mike Brown brought the books. So this is the first time I have a time column on my score sheet. So I can actually be very specific and truthful about how long things took both myself as well as Andrew to think. Also, I asked Andrew, he prefers Andrew, not Andy, so he will not be an Andy on this stream, on this channel, on this video. He is just simply Andrew. Also, another super nice guy. We had a good time going over the game, and let me now walk you through it. So I play D4. My opponent plays D5, and it's a real bummer because I've been really solidifying my openings, and I'm trying now to go deeper, which is awesome. But I have been playing or preparing, against more knight f6 stuff. The d4, d5, and d4, knight f6 are the two most common responses by far and away. So as a d4 player, you just need to know how to deal with both those moves. You can have a system that deals with both of them. You can deviate. I've got a few things. I think longtime viewers probably know what I will play in the future against that stuff, but it's not worth going into that here. For now, I'm playing Jobava London, and we'll see if I played it well. Now Barber, maybe I'll just call him Barber, or Barbs, bangs out knight f6. This is the typical move. In fact, this is the main way into the Jobava London system. There's like 6 or 7 moves that are all very good here and known theory, which is why studying this Open has been a pain in the ass, because it's not like there's like 1 or 2 moves with a few tricksy lines. There's literally like immediately on move 3 like 7, and they all get you to like quite a bit different type of game, which makes me think it might not be the best thing for me to play. but I enjoy paths, and we will go deeper. Nevertheless, Andrew plays c5, and I know this is a move, and I wrote down here, I've not even used a minute. I make a eternal sin. So I'm going to be honest. I started this game playing fucking terribly. Because I play knight b5. And as soon as I do, obviously, immediately, this is just a massive blunder. And it's a shame because knight b5 is the move against like 4 or 5 of the responses, but not this one. It's also not a move when they play a6, which is a move on turn 3. And when they play bishop f5, it's not the best move either. There, you generally want to answer with f3. And against this move, and what I should have played, it's probably just e3. All right, but, you make your bed. And when you make your bed, you got to lie in it. And Barbs hits me with queen a5 check, which is the best move in the position. I know that the only move is knight c3, otherwise I'm losing a piece. And I've basically given a full tempo. I've done nothing. I've let Barber, move forward. And unfortunately, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be a little guilty here. I've literally gotten this position a lot at Blitz because I've blundered this opening move sequence online so many times. And it's because, inertia. You're just so used to playing those first few couple moves. But, I really need to think. And the problem is, I've analyzed that spot online in Blitz so much that I know that this is already, almost lost for white. That's how bad this is, that mistake. It's going to be a pawn, and it's going to be some positional weaknesses. I think the computer will have it as, minus 1.5, maybe even worse, to be completely honest. I just know I've gotten this in Blitz, and every time I feel like an idiot. However, you gotta keep playing. You gotta play the game that was ahead of you, and I realized I was going to have an uphill battle, and I thought, hopefully, I will be able to play well. Barbs takes CD4. He's now spent 8 minutes, and because when I played c5 and then I blundered, Andrew, looked at that and tanked and actually thought, and he was like, this doesn't seem right. And I tried to pass it off oh, yeah, total theory, because I move so fast. I'm like, yeah, it's a move. But internally, I was thinking, holy shit, I just fucked up this game. And it's a shame, because I feel like, in general, the last few months, the openings have definitely been, far and away my strengths. I've been outstanding in the opening phase. You get sloppy one time, and you just get ruined for it. So, nonetheless, he goes pawn takes. I have no move. The knight is pinned. I have to take with the queen. Feels like only move here. Apparently, I actually was considering bishop takes knight, and then it goes some kind of zany line, bishop takes knight, and I thought maybe he can go pawn takes knight, and I thought then I would bring the bishop back, because then if he goes pawn check, I can then attack his queen. I don't know. There were all these jumbly stuff that I thought maybe I could make some madness, but it felt pretty crazy to do all that stuff, so I just took the pawn. Obviously, with knight c6 coming with tempo and force, he also has a devastating e5 that's going to hit the board and immediately, of course, apply pressure to my bishop. So I thought already, positionally speaking, I'm just in a terrible shape. And it's just real shame to have a classical game where you're playing a serious game and literally on move 3 or 4, you make a major blunder that you should never make. And you just realize that you're going to spend, 2+ hours regretting a decision that you made for 1 minute. And I move fast, and this is the downside of moving fast. Instinctually moving in the opening, you get punished. So I think I need to slow back down. Anyway, I thought about dropping my queen. I thought about applying a pin and maybe force queens off the board. My idea was basically queen a4, trade, and then I'd basically queenside castle. And I thought that maybe I'd be getting some pressure. I'd have the half-open file, some activity, and I can kind of argue that I'm not that much worse, even though white is worse. So I spent 5 minutes. It's my first think of the game, and I'm embarrassed because I'm thinking already how to salvage a lost position. And I do some calculations where if I drop it, trying to keep the queens on, I actually thought d4 was very, very powerful. And even though I might be able to swing back, trade, I don't know, maybe he jumps in. Everything is just looking terrible that I just decide, screw it, let's just go queen a4 and kind of make magic happens. Barber tanks for another 7 minutes. Looks like he's gotten down to 115. And he eventually takes the queen. And the reason why, for the record, I did calculate, finally, I was doing some calculations, where if he dropped it to queen b6, I actually thought that I was getting a lot of pressure with this move, knight b5. I'm actually curious if I'm I've kind of like rescued the game. No, because he has e5 here. Oh, because he can just strike me and dislodge me. Okay. Yeah. And then I have to go bishop e3, and it's maybe interesting. All right, well, whatever. I'm just kind of curious how lost I am in this position. Oh, yeah, okay, if he does that, then I can just queenside castle, apparently. All right, so hopefully I would have found the move, but if he tried to keep queens on, it looks like queenside castle, and I'm totally right back in it. All right, cool. Anyway, that's not what happened. He did just take, he went take, I obviously take back with a knight, and I'm just like, all right, let's just grip and stick. I thought his obvious move, to be completely honest, was e5. But Barber really surprises me, and he plays a very passive e6. And I'm going to actually turn on the engine just for a moment, because like I was actually shocked that I thought the e5 is the punishment move. It's a very obvious move, and he didn't do it. And the reason why is he wins tempo, he dislodges my bishop, my knight is super out of play, and he just has an amazing center. But he doesn't do that. He plays e6. And the truth is, after e6, where, I have a lot of time, again, I've only used 5 minutes, I like white is barely worse. It's like and I did know this, and minus 0.85, and I thought, all right, great, I am in the game. This is great. Maybe I've dodged any of like this potential awfulness. Ooh la la, ooh tra la, and this is where I make another mini blunder. I'll say my quality play tonight was low. Doesn't mean I lost. You'll have to watch to the end. I looked at this position, and I think I want to be able to play e4 at some point. I want to break open the center, and I thought I could play for fast development with queenside castle and like looking to jump in. For the record, there's a lot of tactics for black. Like at the right time, e5. If I ever put anything on this diagonal, basically 2 different pieces. My knight is out of play. I gotta get it back in play. That's some challenging linguisticisms, if you will. Oh, I almost forgot. Before the game started, I played Zach in Blitz, and I beat him as black. I beat him! Anyway, I just want to add that because I don't think it's good for me to play Blitz before a classical game, but I get there early, and it was nice to play him because we only played Blitz one other time, and he beat me that time, so it's nice to even up the score. Anyway, I think it looks like I spend a few minutes on this move, and my candidate moves were f3 with the idea of g4, and I thought it was better when his bishop is not stuck behind this piece. I thought I needed to get my pieces out, but I wasn't sure where I was supposed to do that. I thought playing e3 was a little too slow here, even though it's definitely the best move. And I make another blunder. I play queenside castle. And the reason why this is so bad, and I see this like, I swear, tonight I was just out of my game. I literally, like 5 times this game, made a move, and then immediately saw, like, not like a refutation, but like a strong line and strong play for black. Like, literally 5 times this game. And, like, that's a really bad feeling. And the reason is, I thought to myself, oh my god, he might have this, like, bishop d6 move. And it looks like you're just losing a piece. But you kind of couple it with this idea, and I thought knight to g4, again, attacking this fork, and I thought that this was just like nearly winning for black. After casting, I did some heavy calculation. I realized I would be able to slip out of it. It wasn't fully nasty. It kind of depended on the order, like the move order for what he does here. And eventually, and again, it takes, Andrew thinks for another 6 or 7 minutes, and I think this is a less accurate follow-up. He plays knight e4. For some reason, I thought knight g4 was better. Basically, I saw knight g4. I have to back up to defend this pawn. He can dislodge me. If I move in, I thought he's winning this. I thought if I can't move back, because then he takes this, it's immediately prix. So I'm kind of just dingle-dangling and preventing him from castling. But the key there is he's winning the exchange. He's maybe getting the pawn. I'm not really sure I'm trapping his knight. In any event, just so you guys can see this line, and then maybe I bring it here and I lose my rook. And I thought that maybe I could play something like bishop e3, and it's complicated because it's not clear that he's going to be able to escape with his knight. In fact, when we talked about this idea, Andrew did see it. We talked about it. I wasn't sure if this was good for him. He wasn't sure if this was good for him. It seemed complicated where if I can trap his piece, then I can win the 2 minor pieces for like the pawn and the rook. White is slightly better. But if I can't trap this piece, if I'm not winning it back, then black is basically winning. So actually, I'm kind of curious what the computer says. I have no idea. Again, I haven't looked at this game on the computer. Okay, so it looks like black should be able to wiggle free with a -2. So I'm glad I didn't go into this because, the reason... It's tricky. It's like an e4 line to dislodge the bishop. Obviously, if you take, and then take, and then take, boom, the knight escapes. You're getting a pawn back as white. But, all right, cool. So I didn't want to go into that. Good. So I saw this. So I thought that I had to, and again, I also saw that this move, for the record, doesn't work. I did see all this, which is good, because he's got this devastating e5. He's now opening up. This is super defended. Actually, not here. It would be if he went here. Wait, maybe this is okay now. I feel like this was... over the board, I felt like this was losing, but it might not be. e5. Yeah, I thought e5 was the best move. And the reason... What move do I have to save things? I just go drop the bishop d2. This is what Andrew said, funny enough. He said that he saw this line here, and he always saw that I had bishop d2, and he thought that I was fine. Is my English terrible tonight? I feel like I'm misspeaking. Maybe I'm tired, but I don't know. Maybe it's the laptop effect. The board is smaller from my perspective. It's a tiny screen. I'm used to a massive monitor. All right. Yeah, so he did say that he saw this move. Yeah, all I knew is I didn't really want to go into that. Anyway, none of that happened. I'm just pointing out that I moved pretty quickly, and then I realized that he might have this tactic with his fork. It was kind of problematic. He plays knight e4, and I thought my follow-up was... Because I blitzed, because I thought I saw all of this, calculating, and I thought if I drop, and he threatens... I then play f3, and if he takes with the knight, I take back, he takes, and that's, by the way, what happened. And I'm just down a pawn, but I have an open h-file, and I thought, considering how bad the position was, I thought I had some compensation for the pawn, that it's, like, totally playable. And if he does the other order, where if he goes bishop takes bishop first, I then play pawn takes knight, and I actually thought I'd be a little bit better in that line. Just so you guys can see what I'm talking about, so I'm not just blowing smoke. He does play bishop g3. Now, for the record... And this is a common thing. It's a good thing I wrote down the timing. Andrew was slow. I used the clock as a major weapon this game because he played. I think these were strong moves, but it took him a long time to play them. For the record. Okay, bishop e4. This one seems pretty clear cut. So not bishop, knight e4, and I played bishop g3. Just for the record, if I did something different, like I thought if I played. Well, obviously this doesn't work because he has this tactic. So not that. Bishop g3. He now plays bishop d6. And then I did play f3. For the record, I thought with this line, takes. We're in a similar position, right? I never have this move back. Yeah, similar position as we logged ahead of time. But what else was I thinking? Am I even making sense, guys? Maybe I'm making no sense. Anyway, he did end up playing knight takes, but I thought if he went, just to show you, bishop takes, I thought I had pawn takes knight. This is on pre, and I'm actually breaking through, and he's not winning a fork. And I actually thought this was good for me, and it's not. Oh! Because he has the f check, I move, and then he can recapture, so. I didn't see any of that. Doi. All right, well, then he should have gone into that line, because instead he went to this line, which I think was worse for him. Because we end up trading everything. And again, I gave up the pawn. But, and this is the important thing, I thought that my knight on the rim wasn't so dim. I have kingside safety. He does not, at least not yet. I have an open h-file that I might be able to utilize. And potentially I have some fast development. And his bishop is terrible, stuck behind this pawn. He told me that he actually is a big French player, so he's used to having this bad bishop. So maybe that's why he, like, self-trapped it with e6, excuse me. I don't know. But he did me a solid with that one, I'm going to be honest. How bad is this for me when we trade down? It's still bad. Like, look at this. Still minus 1.7. I did at least play the best move here, finally. All right, it's good that I finally am playing some good moves. I look at the position. I realize that I need to get this piece out. I need to get this piece out. I don't want to let him check. What solves all that? Well, it's e3. It stops any checks. It opens up my pieces. It maybe puts the clamps on d4. Everything made sense with this move. I'm glad that it didn't require a lot of calculation for that one, because clearly I'm not playing my A game. And I think Andrew kind of lets me off the hook a lot here, because he plays bishop e5. He told me that he had ideas of finchetoing and then getting safety and basically playing an improved King's Indian where I just don't have the H pawn. And I think from a practical decision, that was smart. By the way, that's my oven beeping. I made food. I made chicken parmesan, sort of. But so let me go grab that. Would have guessed that things coming out of the oven are hot? Who could have guessed that, guys, in chat? Leave a comment if you can guess that. When things have been in the oven for 40 minutes, they're hot. I probably can't eat this right away. All right, let me put that off to the side then. Off to the side. All right, let's get back to chess, because why not? He plays bishop e5 and he told me he just wanted to control the diagonal. Honestly, it's pretty good. And this was my first think of the game, which is a shame, considering, because I got down to 118, considering I've played so many bad moves. Like, maybe I should have used more clock earlier. Alright, I grabbed a seltzer. Clearly this is a professional video. Everything is just off tonight. But you know what? You guys will have to deal with it, because you're getting amazing chess content. Not really. I mean, this is 1600 level chess content, which is to say, not the greatest. Anyway, I was not at a loss for moves. I thought I had a million ideas here. I just wasn't sure what was best. All right. When I took stock of this position, my knight is out of play. These minor pieces are undeveloped, and I want to attack down the h-file. He is not castled, so I had ideas of breaking him open at the right time. I just played e3, so I didn't think e4 was correct here. But I also was afraid if I played e4, he would actually just be able to play d4. So, and I know that not a prophylactic, defensive move like king b1 is also always a good move. So, I went into the tank here, and I thought I could always start with bishop to d3, because it's with tempo. I'd be attacking this pawn. I thought that he'd have to answer it. And I knew that this move, that's f4, always comes with force. So I wasn't sure like the right order of things, but I thought if I attack the piece first, the pawn rather, and obviously he's not going to just let me have it, because then I think I'm totally like a parity. I know that there are some poison pawns there where if I do take with the bishop, they have sometimes ideas of g6, but I was totally willing to go into those complications, so I wasn't like afraid of that. I welcomed it. So, yeah, so I thought that I should start with this move and kind of let Andrew show me how he planned to defend it. So I didn't know if he was going to play g6. I thought f5 answering was an option, but it would have then made a hole, or excuse me, a weakness on e6, and then I could maybe try to reroute my pieces that way. Even like, again, putting my rook on h6. Things like that I thought were interesting, especially because this diagonal would be taken away by my pawn. So I actually did go into the tank. And I don't know if I played the best move, but I played bishop d3. Just for the record, I thought if I played f4 here, he just retreats f6. And we're in the same position as before. Like maybe now I play this. I don't know. I guess now I force him to play g6. I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure what was better if I played d3. For the record, I played d3, and he does defend it with g6 anyway. But I wondered if this was actually like allowing weaknesses to occur, right? Like. Again, like if he ever pushes at a certain time, like maybe I can like rook lift or something. I don't know, not like that at all. Some knight jumps I was looking at, again, to target the backwards e6 pawn. Alright, let's check out bite of the chicken parm. Very good. So, yeah, it's the kind of thing I didn't know, but I wanted him to show me how he planned to defend the pawns and proceed. So, I played bishop d3. He played g6. I went into another tank. Well, okay. When I say another tank, because I had the times written down, I only spent 5 minutes, but for me, 5 minutes can often seem like an eternity. Does that sound like a brag, or I don't know what that sounds like. It's not meant to sound like anything. It felt like I spent a long time thinking about this position because I was thinking about developing this knight. I didn't know if I should go to e2. I didn't know if I should go to h3. I didn't know if I should push f4. I didn't know if I should recall my knight to c3. I didn't know if I should move my knight to c5. Honestly, all the moves seemed decent to me. All of them seemed reasonable. What would you guys do? Take a minute to think about it while I take a bite. Computer likes the f4 idea. I also like bishop. I didn't think bishop b5 did much. Just pitting the knight. Obviously, I'm wrong, and I played the wrong move. Okay. So they like the idea of f4, just so that you can see what the computer wants. They like f4, and then the bishop retreats. And then once that occurs, then moving the knight, so to f3, which is what I thought, opening up the square, and then you have all these jumps. Honestly, I did calculate all that, and I probably should have played that. I was strongly considering it. I didn't do that, though. I put knight h3. My thinking was I could reroute my piece now to g5, where I'm then hitting the pawn that way. And there are a lot of lines where I'm then basically rerouting, like depending. And I didn't have to do this right away, so I thought I could be patient with that move, and then I could reroute it from the right-hand side to the left-hand side. Maybe I'm wrong. Anyway, Barb's wastes no time. He plays bishop g7. Can't argue with that. He's down under an hour now, by the way, so he's already used 30 minutes. I look at this position. I didn't think much changed. I kind of shrugged. And now I play king b1. The idea is pretty clear-cut. I was worried in this position that there might be some checks, some tactics at some point. If he jumps down, that maybe I'm sliding over to protect the pawn. I didn't want him to play knight b4 and just win my bishop for free. I thought down the pawn and the bishop pair, I'd be in big trouble. So, yeah. So it seemed like a good prophylactic move. For the record, Andrew was very complimentary of my play, which he shouldn't have been. I did not play well. But he really liked this move. And this was one of the few moves I can say it was probably pretty good. So, that's good. All right. So I play king b1. At this point, Andrew spends 8 minutes. Looks like from 59 minutes to 51. Thinks for a while. All right. I mean, so be it. And he plays knight b4 anyway. And his idea is pretty clear-cut. He's trying to just trade, get the bishop pair. I don't think it's a bad move at all. But I was really torn. Part of me wanted to give him the bishop pair and just, get my knights off the corners of the board. Part of me was thinking it might be interesting if I took back with the rook and then maybe get some, odd attack with a rook lift. Down the pawn, thinking I might need to do something kind of creative. Yeah. But I then thought to myself, all right, Rob, we're down a pawn. It's not the end of the world, but it's not good. It's not good. However, I played this king b1 move, the prophylactic, so that I could keep my bishop pair if I wanted it. I can just retreat the bishop, and then, his knight just kind of hanging around. I can then play a3. Let's just do it. Whatever. I thought this was the best move in the position. And again, when I took, an objective stance at the board, I knew I was worse, right? What are the key points about this position? Well, for one, he's got the bishop pair. For two, he has a pawn. And for three, his knights are not, at the edge of the board, just, very, very dim. What are the positives? Well, my rooks are connected. His king's in the middle of the board. He's not castled. And his bishop has a hard time developing. So I was like, okay, it's, it's not all is lost, let's just keep battling. Andy is determined, we could say. Andrew, excuse me. He is determined to win this bishop pair. He's like, you better believe I'm going to get it. And I didn't want to let him do that. I played bishop e2. And he now plays... Oh, he played knight e5. Whoops. Watch this. On this computer, I can just delete the move. Here, right. Played there. What? Excuse me. He played knight e5 this way. Same deal. Threatening. Yeah. Here we go. Threatening to win the bishop. And yes. So this is what. Right. Everything kind of applies if it was here. But now it's here. And the reason why is now I dropped the bishop. Thank you, bishop e2. That makes sense. And I just maintain the bishop because now when he plays knight c4, and think, I'm not just thinking like literally one move ahead, that's it. I did see this position if I backtracked, and I thought I actually accomplished something. And the reason why is, yes, he is attacking the e-pawn. Yes, he's attacking the b-pawn. I made this move, the capture, instantaneously. Because, so obviously I have to take. Just so you guys can see, he's attacking two things. Technically my knight is defending, but I don't really want to push this pawn, I think. Takes. I have the isolated pawn. I then have the open file. I don't know. I didn't think I did anyway. I'm not really sure. There's no other way to defend it. But I thought when we transform the position, when I go take, and then he obviously takes back with the pawn, okay, I'm still worse, but I actually have something now, which is the only open file in the on the board. I've been watching Daniel Naroditsky videos. They're so good. And he makes a good point of these kind of positions, which is when there are multiple open files, having a rook on open file is not that important, which is interesting, right? But he says when there is only one open file, it is worth a lot to own it. And I know that conceptually, but it's good hearing it from, from a former GM, I don't know, whatever you call it, someone who's deceased. Anyway, GM. Because it makes sense, because I thought to myself, all right, this pawn is hanging around. It's a little bit weak. I have the play. He's not castled yet. I can double up and I can own the file. And you know what? I'm worse, but I'm battling. He wanted that trade, but he made a concession to do it. So I thought that was moving the goalpost forward. I'm stuffing my running back up the middle of the board or middle of the hole, and he's gaining only 3 yards, which isn't good. But we're moving the chains, moving them chains. I don't know, something like that. All right. Enough of the football analogy. I don't even like football. I don't watch football, actually. All right, I play knight g5, and here is where I did my calculation. I said, okay, I can, threaten the pawn. He's going to, move it or something. And then I reroute it to the middle, and all of a sudden, my knight is becoming very jumpy. He's going to have a real problem developing. Maybe I can slam a bing bong on the 7th, and I actually have, I have something. I finally, got something going on. You got it going on. Anyway, I play knight g5. After the game, both Barbs and I said that we thought that maybe h5 was more accurate. He plays h6, which forces me immediately to move it. This was my plan all along, was to reroute. So I was pretty happy to just move this kind of... It's with tempo, but this is where I want it anyway. So his move kind of helps me along, to be honest. And then finally, Andrew in this spot castles. For the record, if you guys can see... Andrew said he didn't see this in the game. I'm sure he would have found this, but I am threatening a fork, but not really, because I saw that I have this check square, but then he has this annoying move, b5, which would attack both knights, forking me, and I would lose a piece. I'd win a pawn back, and he'd be a bit opened up, but I would be losing. So I knew I couldn't take the pawn right away. But nevertheless, I wanted to threaten the infiltration. Barber, Andrew, castles. And now I realize I need to move this knight so that this pawn could be taken. It's kind of an odd concept. And I was torn between going to c5 or going to c3. c3, I wanted to tempt him to take because I thought if I recapture, yes, I'd have the double pawns, but then I have a luft square. And I didn't think it was easy at all against the double pawns for him to attack me on the b file. So I thought my king would actually be very, very safe, and I'd get rid of his strongest piece. So I kind of wanted to tempt him. I also was a little bit worried about going to c5 and then immediately getting harassed down because I don't have an inward jump. I'd have to then do a backwards jump and then a massive reroute, which I don't think is necessarily bad, but I didn't do that. So I played knight. I wonder if that's incorrect. I played knight a c3. Barber in this position, Andrew, this was his longest think of the game. He spent 12 minutes in this position. And I think admittedly, and he said this after the game, I thought black is better here. He wasn't so sure. He's I don't know, man. He's I have no hope of developing this bishop. He's I think it's problematic, and my rook is pinned in, and you have activity, and I'm stuck defending this pawn. And he said at this point I made peace. He said I'm going to sacrifice the pawn. He said I'm waving goodbye to the c pawn. thinking that the position will open up, I'll still have the bishop pair, and I'll be better. And I said, yeah, so if you can just sack the pawn and be better, like, you're better. Yeah, but not in like a dickish way. Like I was agreeing. I was like, yeah, even best case scenario, he's got some. If he can solve everything with just giving back the pawn, then it means his position is pretty solid. Like it's not winning, but it's he has a much better position, but it's not winning necessarily. I think from a practical perspective, who the hell knows? So he thinks for a long time, and for the record, just so you guys can see, I'm threatening infiltration like so. I'm potentially again rerouting. Then I'm starting to really jump my knights. I want to attack the base of his chain. If he doesn't defend this pawn, I thought I'd capture it, then like game's on, the material's equal. I thought my king was relatively safe. He doesn't have much of an attack, and he is slow to develop. So eventually he plays b6, and I was really, my first instinct was just to bang out knight b5. I didn't do that, for the record. But, yeah, I thought to myself, I'm like, oh boy, b6. I'm like, this doesn't seem right to me. I'm actually really curious what his best move is in this position. It might be b6 for that matter. Maybe my position is really not that bad. I don't know. Yeah, b6 is actually... So he did find the best move. He spent a long time thinking, and he found the best move. Good for him. Yeah, good for him. But again, already, it's only -1. Like, it's a playable position for sure. If he doesn't find this move, then I think, good things are happening for me. But he did find this move, so... b6, boom. And you have to understand, I'll show you my move first, because I spent, let's see, 21, did not spend long on this move. It felt like I thought for a while. No, excuse me. I spent 10 minutes. I go from an hour 10 to an hour in this move. Okay, so this was my longest think of the game. For me, this was the critical position. And I wanted to play knight b5. I ended up going rook d2, but I thought if I played, for the record, knight b5 takes away this move bishop a6, because then I have a fork. So I thought that this was actually pretty reasonable. And the reason why I thought knight a6 in a lot of positions is good is because then he starts thumping down the pawns in my face. And I thought if he rolls the pawns, if he gets this pawn side attack, and he splits me open, then that's great. I told him after the game, I said he needs to actually get rid of this b pawn so he can get his rook bishop working together, because then I'm actually in a lot of trouble again. Especially with the pawn on c4. Like, if he lets me take it, that's one thing. But for now, it's actually taking away a lot of squares. So why was I worried about knight b5 here? Because I'm not worried about... What was I worried about here? Because that was my instinct to play this first. So why did I not do this? Did I see bishop b7? Like, he gets his piece out? Computer says just a6, yeah. Or bishop b7. Both of those are the top moves, which makes sense. I think those are the two moves I was thinking about. Oh, right. I think I was thinking if basically this happens, I can't actually jump in, because I thought if I jump in, he actually has this move, rook a7, and I'm just losing the piece. So I thought if I couldn't jump in, then I have to jump over. And I thought this was really tricky. Take, or I no longer own the file necessarily. I don't know. I didn't think this was great. I'm not sure. I honestly, I thought that he still has trouble developing, maybe, and that I can just use this time to basically take double rooks. If he does play here, then maybe I can even just sweep right on in, take the 7th. I don't know. I felt like I was not spoiled for choice, but I had a resource here, and I intended on maximizing it, if that makes sense. Anyway, I spent 10 minutes. I play rook d2, expecting him to finally get the bishop involved, and he doesn't. He plays f5. Which was weakening, but also took me by surprise. For the record, I expected this move, and I wasn't sure if I should double up my rooks or just immediately play rook d7. And I thought that basically we get some complications, like, he can attack it, I can re-attack it, things like this. I honestly don't know what's going on in this kind of position. I just feel like eventually I'm either going to get kicked back or I'm going to double up. I also thought that if he played that rather than immediately launching, I could then double up first as well. And I don't know, I thought this position was, like, reasonable for me. I'm actually kind of curious. No, I'm still not back to equal at all. Actually here, funny enough, if he plays bishop b7, best move is to now go knight d6 anyway. Self-pin. There were a lot of lines where I know that my knight was protecting my rook. In fact, that's going to happen. On this square down to this square is taking, and then, yeah, protecting my rook. All right, well, whatever. But he plays f5, excuse me. He's going to, like, bezounce my knight, and now I realize it's go time. A backwards move is too passive here. I said, all right, I got to just throttle upwards. If I move up, I'm attacking this pawn. Because I don't have a knight on here, I'm actually threatening to take it. I can get rid of his bishop pair if I want. I still own the file. And I figured if he pins me, he's not really pinning because I can always bail out, take this pawn, and then take back the rook, which is what happens. So I move up. I move to knight d6. My knights are jumping. He pins me, sort of. And this is like my second real decision of the game. Maybe I should have spent more time thinking about it. It looks like I spent a grand total of 1 minute. I must have thought about this in my 10-minute think, to be honest. That probably is why. And I took the pawn. And I thought material-wise, I'm like back to equal. I'm defending my rook. And I wonder if I made the right decision. After the game, Andrew told me he thought that I had so much pressure and that he had such inability developing that he thought rook hd1 was just... And he thought I was better. I never thought I was better here. I'm not. But it looks like I'm like back in business, baby. I'm surprised taking the pawn is so bad. I thought because I'm defending, I'm like back to material equal. Okay. Yeah, I did actually see this move. I thought basically if he played bishop a6, I'd have to go trade, and then either, and then basically move my knight. So I did see this line. I didn't realize how bad it was for me. I wanted to make a general point. I don't know if this is helpful, but I feel like there's a few things in chess that are important. There's seeing a position, seeing spotting tactics, obviously calculating right, but also having a position in your mind, like few moves forward, and evaluating if it's better or worse. And like that's really hard. So the computer line, I'll just show it real quick. He obviously takes, but if he didn't take, if he plays like a best computer line, bishop a6, I saw you have to trade. He now wins the file, and I move here. And I thought to myself, this isn't that bad. But now, conceptually looking at it, he can actually slam his rook into the second. This pawn is undefended, and my knights are stupid here. So, obviously, this is horrible for me. So why was I okay going into this? It's -2. Well, luckily, he didn't see this, or he misevaluated as well. But, like, I don't know. I feel like that's probably my next step, getting better with the evaluation. I think he was so happy to play this position with the bishop pair. He's got a weak pawn on e6. I really don't know. Anyway, he takes my my rook. I take with a knight, because obviously, and we go from there. Because for the record, sometimes I play a move and I don't see the follow-up. I did see this, and I calculated, takes, and I knew I had the escape square. And I thought I was doing fine, because material was equal. But that's a really dumb way of looking at it. Yeah, in retrospect, I wish I had played this move. Because this is, like, Andrew said that he thought that I'd be better here. Again, we just saw the computer. It says -0.6 or -0.7. But this is definitely the best practical, because he can still never play b5, because I can just take it. So what is his best move in this position? It's actually unclear, right? h5. Yeah, the computer wants him to ignore what's going on over here and just start pushing the additional outside pawn on the king side. This move is still a candidate move, which I thought made sense, so that he can maybe start rolling the pawn somehow. Like get the bishop, like get the rook behind, basically. Yeah, I thought that made sense too. And that way I can actually trade to take away the bishop pair. Alright, well, none of that happened. I'm just interested in the analysis here. And yeah, so I did take the pawn. He traded rooks, I took back, and like, it's go time. And already at this point, I really thought that I had like basically equalized. And one thing I was saying, and now finally he develops the bishop, and unfortunately, yeah, he developed the bishop. What can you say? Andrew is down below 27 minutes, and I am at 56 minutes. So I have almost 30 minutes on him at this point, just for the record. So, what did I want to say? There was something I did want to say. So then say it. Well, I have to remember, what it is. Oh, yeah. If I am losing, like if I'm worse, I have a tendency to battle back to equality, which is great, but then not try to do more with that. Basically be relieved and thankful that I'm like, that I no longer lost. I think an interesting, or not, a positive development for me will be losing, but then trying to win the lost position. And I think, to be completely fair, because he was definitely getting nervous at this point, when he plays the rook over, he still has so many problems developing. Again, I thought bishop a6 was totally viable. I'm surprised he didn't do that. But playing this position makes sense because black does not have an obvious move. It's very much in the balance, and I can always bail out and take these pawns, or a pawn, if I need to get back to material equality. And I think against, like, Andrew's lower rated than me, quite a bit, in fact, I think that I should be more willing to kind of mix it up. In the game, I was thinking to myself often, I was like, okay, I can't simplify too much. I can't simplify too much. But I think that this would have been the better practical option as well, because it was clear that, like, Andrew was a bit stressed about the time and everything. So I probably should have, like, done a little bit more with that. However, we reached this position. He fianchettos his bishop, and even though material is equal, like, black is still better. Like, that's the thing. I bailed out to it's not even an endgame per se. I mean, it's still a middle game, I would say. Well, it's getting on to the end game. We have one rook each and whatnot. I mean, just like looking at it, it's not like this is a fun position for me to play. Like, I bailed out, and I'm kind of cramped. His bishops are opening up. I don't have the file yet. I don't have Luft, so there's back rank problems. I need to move this H rook. Yeah, I think I just made some bad decisions this game. I mean, that's chess, right? You make a lot of decisions. Anyway, I thought I needed to... I thought finally he's not going to take. So maybe let's get my knight to a more active square. At the moment, it doesn't really have jumps, I thought. Played knight e2. Maybe a bad move. I don't know. My idea, of course, just so you guys can see, was to mix it up and play to f4, because I wanted to hit both of these pawns as they are weak. Andrew wastes no time. He plays g5. He's just taking that away, not surprisingly. Good move, I think. I thought at the same time, if I got him to kind of over-push his pawns, maybe he would be opening himself up to weaknesses. For example, his e-pawn is a hanging pawn. His bishop is still tied down at the moment to this pawn as well. So I thought maybe there would be some tactics there. He's down to 24 minutes. He's, like, stressed. I play c3. I thought this was the best move. Maybe it is. I wanted to blunt his bishop, but also I wanted to give myself a square that I can run with my king to kind of get into the center of the board. So I thought this move did all that. It's another reason why I moved the knight, for the record. So I play c3. That was a good move. Good move. Maybe it's not, though. Andrew takes the file. He plays rook d8. Makes sense. This piece is unguarded, and I blunder here. Absolutely. As soon as I moved, and, like, this is a situation where I'm pushing on the clock. I still spent 4 minutes on this move. I was torn between moving my knight and moving my king. I don't know why the hell I didn't play king c2. It's such an obvious move. It's so fucking obvious. I thought I wanted my knight to b3 so I could reroute it to d4. And I know why I didn't do this, or I did do that. Why I did it in the wrong move order. Because the 4 minutes I spent calculating what if he pushes, and I was calculating all of these moves where I'm forking these pieces, and I could actually take this off, and he'd take, and then my rook is forever attacking that, his king is boomed down, and then I move in. And that was the endgame calculation I made, completely whiffing on the fact that if I don't move my king up, he can actually infiltrate with his rook to d3, which is something I took for granted, thinking in my mind, I knew that if I played king c2, he can't do that. So I just was, like, tired, sloppy, kind of pathetic, actually. I then played knight b3, again with the idea of swinging it to d4, and Andrew spent 6 minutes. Again, as soon as I moved, I think I said there were like 5 times where I made a move and I was like, oh shit, he has such a good move here. And immediately when I moved this, I was like, oh my god, Rob, why didn't I not just go king c2 first? He eventually plays it. And it seems like there's no way that's not the best move in the position. Just for you, so you guys can see, this is what I should have done, because now obviously I'm taking this away. And then I still have ideas of swinging my knight to b3 so that I can swing it to d4. Part of the reason why I moved c3 as well is I wanted a super outpost, because I thought if I was locking down the center, look, I never thought I was better, but I thought that I would be holding just fine. As soon as this happens, though, as you guys can tell, I'm losing this pawn. And I don't think that means I'm going to lose the game, but my hopes go from, I'm in this like equalized material position where I'm like have these tricky knights, thinking that I can like swindle my opponent, to now thinking, oh dear, I need to lock in and pray that I can fucking draw this game. It's a terrible feeling. Like, just like the, very, very careless, basically. Very careless. So, yeah, once he plays rook d3, I make peace with the fact that I'm going to lose that pawn, and I think about all the counterplay. And I realize, like, to my horror, I don't have these moves like f4, he can just take. My knight is immediately under attack. And unfortunately, if I swing my knight to the square that I want, I'm not really threatening this pawn, because again, when he takes, his rook will be defending it. So I think to myself, I'm like, all right, the only thing I can really concoct here is maybe I can find a way to trap his rook. And it's not possible, but I can at least threaten it. And threatening it is half the battle. So I start with knight e to d4. Oh, and part of me thought that I needed this knight here rather than using this knight to move. So I can take away him moving the rook to the d2 square, because I thought that if I move here, then maybe, again, at the right time, if he pushes and forces me back, he actually can land on the second rank, and then I'm just in a lot of trouble, and I really didn't want that. So, all right, I play knight e to d4. He looks at me, he spends less than a minute, and he's like, okay, I'll take the free pawn. Thanks, dude. Now I start running, and my idea here is pretty clear-cut. His rook is undefended. It's very low on squares. He can't go there, he can't go there, he can't go there, he can't go there. He obviously can take either of these pawns, but then he loses the rook. That's the only square that's protected. And by the way, he can't trade to open this up, because boom, I go there. And by the way, in this spot as well, if I have my king here and he pushes to basically attack that, then I can just, boom, win his rook. And he would take my knight, and then I would take back with the pawn, and I'd be better. So I got a little bit happy or thankful that, like, I was like, okay, maybe I'm gonna trap his rook. It's possible, possibly. He moves bishop d5, and he's down to 17 minutes, but that's a lot of time. I have 52 minutes. I take 7 minutes. Excuse me, I don't take 7 minutes in this one. This one was a follow-up. I moved king d2 immediately. I thought if he moved here, he'd have big problems. It's like very passive, it's sitting duck. I thought that maybe this would mean he'd force to move his pawn. I didn't know if that was good for me. That's exactly what happened. It probably isn't even that good for me, locking up at f4. And I spend 7 minutes, and I'm at a loss. I wanted to go wild, play here to like attack the pawn, maybe start jumping with my knight. He's very limited for where he can move this rook. But I play a passive move. I play knight c1. Still eyeing this square, but ideally jumping in. Thinking again, I'm taking away the square. I'm always calculating if like the pawn push ever works. It doesn't. He can just take, and then if I take back, he takes, and he's up 2 pawns. And honestly, this one's under fire. Don't think I would be able to hold that, to be honest. But I mean, who knows? Who the hell knows? Just so you guys can tell, I want to play here. I thought he could even sack the pawn, but he doesn't have to. He can just like play up here, and I wasn't really sure what I was doing in this position. If I play something here, he can just trade. I further damage my pawns, right? And if I play here, I mean, he can always still do that anyway. I actually am not threatening anything. Like, what am I doing here? What are we even doing here, Anyway, I play knight c1. I'm locking down this pawn, and I'm just trying to cling and hold on for dear life. And he trades the bishop for the knight. I'm not sure if this is good for him, if it was forced. I don't know. Now I'm thinking, okay, I'm taking away the square. This is great. And I thought that he played a good move. Well, okay, of course, first he defends the... Oops. First he defends the pawn. He actually goes to... Where does he go? He goes to g7. Because obviously otherwise I'd be able to win the pawn. And then I think all my troubles would be free. And he's attacking my pawn. I figured I need to be able to free my knight. I can either play b3 or a3 or like a4 or b4, I suppose. Well, actually, no. Yeah. Any of those I think are my candidate moves at this point. I just try to be solid. Unfortunately, we're entering an endgame where all my pawns are on the light squares. So I just thought that, like, everything is just bad for me. Here's where I thought he played a very professional move. This is my hope in the position, maybe. Like, if I can get my knight, which is where I wanted it, to e5, then I have an incredible bastion that can't really be taken, and I'd have a centralized knight, and then I'd be able to swing my rook over to c1. So he just stops me. He plays e5. I think it's a good move. I have to take. There's no other move there. And he now escapes with his rook, and he plays rook takes e5. And, yeah, he's, like, doing great. He's down to 9 minutes at this point, and I have more than 45. Figure I need to get my knight into the game. I play knight e3. Obviously, it has tempo. He drops his rook. Makes sense. He wants to protect the 7th. I finally awaken my rook. I play rook c1 very quickly. This seems very obvious. I need to cause complications from behind. And he plays king f6. He's trying to march in so he can get g4 in. I'm actually curious how lost I am, if I'm even lost in this endgame. -2. Yeah, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. The computer likes his plan. Yeah, I mean, it's a solid plan. I thought it made sense. I thought my move was clear-cut. I have to, cause complications. I play rook c8, and now he plays king f5. I now play rook h8, just trying to make some threats on his position. He's down to 6 minutes. He plays king g6. He moves back. I told him after the game I thought that he could give this pawn and push anyway. Because I thought if I take, he takes, I take, he takes. I thought I'm losing here. It's bad for me, but my position's actually improved. Interesting. I told him the reason I thought conceptually this is losing for me is my king is cut off, right? That I thought that he can drop the bishop, and he can literally just push the pawn, and my king is cut off. So I thought that that's problematic for me. And it's very easy to play. It's pawn symmetry on this side, and your goal is just to push the passed pawn with a cut off king. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, whatever. He doesn't do that. He plays king g6. I play knight f2. My idea is pretty clear-cut. I'm trying to blockade the square to make it hard for him to push. At this point, Andrew is down to 4 minutes, and I offer him a draw. I have 44 minutes on my clock. He has 4 minutes. I say, do you want to draw? And he says, yes, 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 yes. And we make a draw. And I will say this. The clock was a weapon. I used it as a weapon. I needed to. If the sides were reverse, I wouldn't take a draw. 4 minutes I think is plenty, to be honest. But I offered him the draw because he had been moving slowly. I'm 200 points higher than him. I'm white. So he's like, with your black pieces down 200 and you're at 4 minutes, like, he was afraid he was going to blunder it or so. And I'm thrilled I made a draw because I'm going to be honest, I didn't play very well. I thought Andrew, when I walked back, I went to the tee. Tyler finished his game actually and his analysis at a similar time. So we walked back together, Tyler Berry. And, I was basically saying that, like, well, I did say if the situation was reversed, I would definitely not have taken a draw, that's for sure. But I offered a draw because I thought that, there's a good chance he would accept it. Like, it's obviously that it's not the easiest position to win. It's also not the hardest. But I told Tyler that the reason I offered the draw is I thought even if he messes up, and, like, let's say he blunders his rook for my knight, like, take these 2 pieces off the board, I wasn't positive I would win it. Like, even if I got what I wanted, which is, let's say I get the exchange for, like, a pawn or something, I didn't think that it was winning for me if I'm able to trick him appropriately. Like, my best bet would be to, like, get my knight over onto f4 and then, like, win this pawn. And I thought even in that position, I might be worse because my pawns are on light squares, and technically my king is not more active because it's cut off. But anyway, didn't have to deal with any of that. We made a draw. And was I happy with my play? No. I played a 79.6% accuracy. That's shit, I think I've said I want to be 85% minimum every game. Andrew played better than me. Did he deserve to win this game? That I'm not so sure about. Nonetheless, as we can tell from this graph, I made that blunder in the opening, and I basically battled. At one point, I almost brought it back to equal, and then at another point, I almost brought it back to equal, but I was consistently worse. Again, was this winning for him at certain points, maybe. I mean, it looks like he's consistently. Oh, this is what I told Tyler. I said it felt like Andrew played. Obviously saw in the opening. I made the blunder. He capitalized, but he wasn't willing to put any risk in. And although I still made some other mistakes, I hardly played impeccably. He didn't. He wasn't willing to go for it, and I think that this was a very safe position for Andrew to have gone for it. Hopefully this doesn't come across as criticism. I think Andrew's a super nice guy, so this is not an insult against him, but more so from the playing style. That I think if the situation was reversed, I would have gone for it, like push the pawns, been more aggressive with them, because I think even if he super messes up, it's still not lost for him, and I think that's why he needed to just go for it. Anyway, that was game one, round one, excuse me, of this Tuesday night March Swiss tournament. I hope I play better. Andrew had, look, it's not like Andrew played badly. I think Andrew played very solidly. He had an advantage, and he tried to utilize, he tried to, skizzle me to an extent. I think I held pretty firm. I made a couple really bad moves. I did use the clock as a weapon. So, yeah, I mean, not really much else to take away from this. I hope I play better next week because this wasn't good enough. Anyway, I've been on the laptop. It's harder to talk on it and whatnot. I've kind of done, the computer while doing the normal walkthrough. Hopefully that's a better mechanism or way to do it. I am going to sign off here. Hope you all enjoyed it. Peace.